Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch. Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Uh-huh. Want some candy?
My fellow Americans, this is Monster Candy Podcast, and we're here on this lovely 4th of July week to express our gratitude to all you candy killers out there, you motherfuckers! So with that being said, I am Screamin E, singer for the world's second greatest rock and roll band, the Memphis Murdermen. To my left is Dominic Davy.
What's up, everybody?
From the punk rock master Tsunami Bomb. And to my right is Lady Liberty herself, Shotzi motherfucking Blackheart.
Wow. Wow.
Pumped.
Oh, damn.
Pumped for this episode.
That was really impressive.
Thank you.
Happy 4th of July, guys.
Yeah, happy.
What's up? Happy 4th
Happy
of July.
4th of Jurors.
4th of Jur.
4th of Jurors. That's the end of our broadcasting. What do they say in the old days?
Podcast over. Thanks, guys, for coming. Just a bunch of introductions. We're back. It's been a minute.
All three of us.
All three of us in the same room.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, we would have done it sooner, except somebody was in Hawaii.
Yeah, I was in Hawaii. It was real nice.
Wow. What island?
I was on Maui.
My favorite!
It was amazing. I went
Did
to
you go on the
Slaughterhouse.
hikings?
Yeah, I did.
Which
Went hiking.
ones? Tell me which hikings.
I don't know which hikings I went. I went on a bunch of different paths. That's actually ones I don't remember the names of. I could probably describe them, but
Okay.
I mostly spent a lot of time on the beach, and I mostly spent my time on Slaughterhouse Beach. You ever go to that one?
The Heckerdoodles?
It's a little bit further up where all
Slaughterhouse
apparently
Beach?
that's what it's called. It's
Whoa.
it's kind of informal.
Why is it
and,
called Slaughterhouse Beach?
I don't know. But apparently if you swim there, you can that's like a really great snorkel spot to encounter animals.
Okay.
And one of the first times I ran into the ocean and dove in, I splashed in you know how you dive in and you put your arms back, and all of a sudden I went face to face with the turtle.
Aww.
And the turtle was shocked, and I was shocked, and then we backed up from each other oh sorry. But then I ended up swimming with the turtle for a while. We were cool.
Yeah, you guys are buddies.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a really good time. Learned to surf.
You
finally.
were turtly enough for the turtle club.
I was.
Turtle.
I was a turtle. No, and I learned to surf, and I jumped off the Black Rock, and you climb up and you jump down into the water. It's pretty sick.
Oh yeah.
It was a good time, man. It's a great crazy island. I drove around the whole island.
Hawaii. Ice is nice.
It was right. But yeah, that's why we couldn't do one together earlier, so I'm sorry.
Speaking of Hawaii, rest in peace, Beth, dog bounty hunter's wife.
She passed away?
Yeah, she did.
Oh.
What happened?
I don't know. She's dead though.
I don't mean to laugh. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to. I'm not just. It was just that you were you brought it up, and you're like, just remember. I was like, oh, and then I was like, what happened? You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't know.
She dead.
No, that's too bad. I heard that she was in a coma. I never really watched the show, but I understand that it existed.
That show was sick.
And people liked it.
I dug it.
Yeah. I kind of took one look at the hair going on in that show and went,
The hair was what pulled me in.
This is what pulled you in? That was the opposite effect. I was like, nah, it's okay. It's alright. I don't need to be there.
Shall we dive into horror news?
I like how we hit a natural quiet spot, and you're like, horror news time, bitches. That was good.
Yeah, bitches. Well, my first agenders on the horror news agenders. I went and saw the new Annabelle.
Yeah.
And the Conjuring series has done it again for me.
Really? You
Yes.
love it? You're
I
into
love it, man. From all the Conjuring movies to The Nun to this Annabelle, because the last Annabelle sucked. It was
Yeah.
poop.
Right.
Utter poop skills.
You shouldn't say that.
No,
Oh, I
there's
shouldn't?
No more
Oh.
poops. No.
Alright, my bad.
Yeah. Instead of poops, think of another word like crackers.
It was complete dry crackers.
See, I
The
understand
first
completely
Annabelle.
what
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did those
Dry
dry crackers smell? Were they stanky dry crackers?
Yes.
Okay.
And they were just like stuck in your mouth for like a really long time, and like
you can't get-
didn't have any water. Even if you drank water, it wouldn't really help because
And then
No,
there was
and
just
then
no-
and then
Still-
one
it's still
cracker
there.
like half of it breaks off and you can't get the other half out.
yeah, and then it gets like stuck in your throat, and then you start like gagging, and then you're like you think you're about to die from this cracker, and then but eventually you don't die.
But
It's
it was
fine.
good, so that's good.
Yeah, but anyway, that Annabelle sucked. This Annabelle, the new one of this year, 2019, they brought it.
They brought it.
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
Like, kind of like The Gate or House, or a little like Poltergeisty, you know, because there was like a bunch of different spirits and monsters in there. There was like a werewolf in there.
Whoa, we'll have to discuss
And a bunch,
this.
a bunch of teenagers just getting haunted. So it had that like 80s, throwback feel, and it was like set in the 70s, maybe the 60s. I don't know, something like that. One of those things. Really cool, really
the tease.
fun. I liked it. Y'all should check it out. I don't care if you agree with me or not, because I thought it was dope. Anyway, the Conjuring series killed it once again.
Nice.
Any other horror news?
You got anything?
No.
No,
Nothing
that was
happened.
me.
Well, I got something for you. Apparently, Lionsgate and 7 Films are unleashing Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell,
No.
follow-up to House of a Thousand Corpses
Oh,
and Devil's
yeah.
Rejects, in a sort of select movie run of about
Of
900
course.
theaters.
Of course.
September 16th, 17th, and 18th
I
of
wonder
2019 through Fathom's digital broadcast network. So I guess on September 16th, moviegoers will see a special video introduction from Rob Zombie, with the first 50 attendees at each theater getting an exclusive poster while supplies last. And the 17th, they'll get a 30-minute behind-the-scenes look at the making of the film. And on the 18th, you get to experience the ultimate double feature, including 3 from Hell and The Devil's Rejects. So Rob Zombie's really excited about this.
Oh,
And I am just
like
sort
he
of
was excited about
White Zombie.
31.
that trash film. No, it wasn't 31 that we hated so much.
No, we hated the
I mean, I didn't
Lords
like
of
31,
Salem.
but yes, Lords of Salem was utter dry crackers.
Really?
total dry crackers.
Total dry crackers.
This is gonna be a slow. This is gonna get stuck in my head, and I'm gonna carry this to my band, and I'm gonna get them all to say dry crackers.
It was complete saltines in your mouth.
Saltines.
Saltines without the soup. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Long-time listeners of this show are going to realize that we have a love-hate relationship with Rob Zombie. It's like, I think we all sort of cheer on that he exists and he's doing his
Yes.
thing.
I
But the
want him to do awesome.
Yeah,
I
like-
want him to do Devil's Rejects over and over again.
Yeah, we're all cheering him on.
Yes.
And it's like when I watched House of a Thousand Corpses, you could see that episode where we talk about that. Like, I explained what I had a problem with the movie and what I did like about the movie. But I think it's more problematic than a lot of people remember it. So it's like I just kind of feel like it's sort of hit or miss how cool it's going to be with him.
I mean, I'm hoping because it is a sequel to Devil's Rejects that he'll just follow that same formula and it won't be utter dry crackers.
I understand. I
Well,
don't want it to be
you know
dry
what they
crackers
say.
either.
Wish in one hand and dry crackers in the other. And see which one fills up first.
I really liking already this new PG Monster Candy podcast.
The new PG.
Yeah, if you guys
We
didn't
should have an
notice,
R.
we are trying to turn a new leaf.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to turn your new leaf.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to turn my leaf at least.
Yeah, a little.
Unfortunately, I'm dragging these hooligans with me.
Well, this podcast I would normally say is an R, a hard R.
A hard
but
R.
we are trying really hard for a good, solid PG.
Yes.
Much like the movie we're going to cover today.
But wait. Don't give it away yet.
Okay. Even though it's in the title.
It's in the title, though.
But go on.
Don't give it away.
Okay.
Okay, shh, don't break his heart.
I
Don't
understand.
break his heart.
I do have horror news.
Oh, we have some more horror news. That was a pretty good segue, man.
It was.
Like, that naturally happened. That was not planned.
Yeah.
But go on.
Creepshow, the series,
Yes.
is premiering
Oh, Creepshow.
this year. Like,
really?
soon. Yeah.
When? Where? Where can we watch
Shudder.
this? On
Of
Shudder.
course, because Shudder's awesome.
Okay, Shudder's awesome, but
Long-time listeners of the podcast will know that you like Shudder.
some of the original content that Shudder comes out with
Yeah.
is a little
But-
bit of a dry cracker.
But come on,
Dude,
Greg.
that Critter series, listen,
Dom, did you go back and watch it?
dude, I watched an episode and that's all I could handle.
It's
And then I
complete
skipped
dry
around
crackers,
and
eh?
it was the most that was the driest crack.
it-
That is
but-
dry cracker caked
but
up
it's
into
kinda-
between my teeth.
I know.
That was
It
a dry
so
cracker
bad.
sandwich.
But
I'm
it's kind
so
of like
mad.
it's kind of like those dry crackers where it's like, oh, it's a dry cracker, but it's all I have in my cabinet right now.
It really
So I'm
upset
just
me.
gonna keep eating the dry cracker.
They really dropped the ball on that. But Creepshow,
Really, no, they really dropped
Yeah,
because
oh,
that
yeah.
could have been fun.
I know.
But that was straight like that's the kind of horror that gets me mad at horror. And you guys might like this out there. Like, there's some of you who might like the stupid shit, but it's like if it gets too
You
stupid, I'm
stupid
like
dry
flipping the
crackers.
table, throwing my fucking computer,
Yeah,
my
I mean,
fudging computer.
I mean, I'm totally down for some dry cracker
You
horror.
still say fuck.
But like sometimes it comes to a point where it's like you're giving horror a bad reputation when you're putting out
they
all
just
this,
could have done
all
something
these
really
dry
cool with that,
crackers.
Yeah.
and they didn't. But I'm sure Greg Nicotero is gonna make the Creepshow thing super great.
Oh, well, okay, so Greg Nicotero's
Yeah.
behind this.
I
Well,
really
all
hope-
right. There's I
I'm
got
looking
some-
at the episode list of the first 12 segments. They're called All Hallows Eve,
Mm-hmm.
written by Bruce Jones, directed by John Harrison. Bad Wolf Down, written and directed by Rob Schrab, which I believe might be the Rob Schrab behind Scud the Disposable Assassin comic, which is sick, and a good werewolf. It's a group of American soldiers trapped behind enemy lines during World War II finds an unconventional way to even the odds. Yeah, I have a feeling that's a werewolf movie. But in World War II,
Yeah,
That's-
I'm listening.
Nazi werewolves.
I love
Um,
werewolves, as you know, because I howl a lot, and I support the troops, so I'm good for this.
Hold on, check this out. Okay, so let's start over, because All Hallows Eve, written by Bruce Jones, directed by John Harrison. Even though they're a little too old, a group of friends still want to trick-or-treat, but getting candy isn't what they're looking for. Second episode, Bad Wolf Down, written and directed by Rob Schrab. A group of American soldiers trapped behind enemy lines during World War II finds an unconventional way to even the odds. By the silver water of Lake Champlain. Story by Joe Hill, son of Stephen King, for those of you paying attention. Adapted by Jason Caramella. Directed by Tom Savini. Her dad died looking for a monster living at the bottom of Lake Champlain. Now,
Savini's?
will she? The companion. Story by Joe R. Lansdale, Casey Lansdale, and Keith Lansdale. There's a whole lot of families there. Directed by Dave Brunker, who did The Ritual, which I really loved. A young boy bullied by his older brother sneaks into an abandoned farm protected by a supernatural force. The Finger. I can keep going. There's Gray Matter, directed by Stephen King. Written by Stephen King, directed by Greg Nicotero. Doc and Chef, two old-timers in a small dying town,
Wow,
brave a
this-
storm.
I'm
To check on
excited
Richie,
for all
the
this.
alcoholic single
Yeah.
father, after encountering his terrified son at the local convenience store. Story first published in 1973 as part of the best-selling 1978 collection Night Shift. I remember the story. Holy shit!
good
Holy
stuff.
dry cracker.
Speaking of Tom Savini,
There's more, but this is
shit.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right,
Tom-
this is looking good, right?
Tom Savini was
There's
at
hope here.
the Monster Bash.
Yeah.
Where we were just at
over the.
over in the
when did we do
Pittsburgh
this?
last weekend when you had a break from wrestling, rolling through the Berg.
Yep.
Hit up the Monster Bash,
Roll on
Pittsburgh,
through.
Mars, PA.
Mars.
Yeah, it was all right. It's a good little horror convention for you folks that like the horror conventions, creepy classics. Go check it out. Also, as I bomb down to LA to grab this nerd at a wrestling match, I like scary movies.
Nice.
Was pretty cool.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I Like Scary Movies is a immersive horror themed exhibit where you go in and there's basically horror sets in each room. Each room has a theme. They got like Beetlejuice and It and Nightmare on Elm Street, The Shining.
A lot of
The
you
Lost
jerks have
Boys.
already seen that shit. I see them posting on the IGs.
Yeah, but a lot of people haven't
Yeah.
heard about it. It's really cool. You can get a lot of good
photo
photos.
ops.
Yeah. If you haven't checked out my Instagram, we have a bunch of examples on there.
Yeah, but so check that out. And as for that,
That's horror news.
So speaking of this podcast trying to go from a hard R to a PG, not as easy to do the segue when it's interrupted. That reminds me much like the movie.
Wait.
I'm going to set you on fire.
Yeah,
No,
please do.
seriously. What else do you have to say?
oh, nothing.
Okay.
I was just fucking.
Today we're reviewing Poltergeist.
The 1982 Stephen King and Toby Hooper masterpiece.
Toby Hoops.
Yeah, despite one of the only horror movies to not feature any gory deaths or fatalities.
There was you could probably fit all their blood that was used in this film in one shot glass.
Probably.
Yeah,
Right?
just
Maybe
about
not. Maybe not. Maybe like two
Maybe-
shot glasses.
Maybe a tumbler.
Maybe.
No, I'm thinking one shot glass. That's it.
But yeah. And here's the thing. Stephen King was working on E.T. the Extraterrestrial back to back with this, and he wanted to make sure that this movie, even though they initially wrote it really dark, they wanted it to double feature them together because they were released a week apart in June 1982. However, this scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
me too.
As
I
I
mean,
remember,
this
it
was
was
the one.
on. It made our
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Made
This
our
was
80s
this
list.
was the one
Yep.
one of them's
It
one of them's films.
And it's kind of funny because I kind of feel like this is a level of creativity that many horror creatives do not go down. Like nobody ever tries to tell a story that could be PG. I mean, granted, this would be PG-13 today, but they didn't have it then. So but like they were going to give it an R and they had to hard fight it. But I don't know how many horror directors and writers do you know in the business have tried to make that R.L. Stein of movies, like the books
Right.
for kids that are scary. I mean, we'll see how the new Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, how that movie rolls out. But it's pretty impressive that they made a movie that managed to scare everybody.
Yeah, it was pretty creepy.
With a PG rating. That's impressive.
yeah, that's why I
No
feel like
blood,
this
no
is
real blood.
this is more of a Steven Spielberg movie
Yeah.
because I mean, Toby Hoops, he's more known for his
Daddy.
Texas Hoop Daddy.
So
Was known for more of a Texas Chainsaw style.
right, so just so everyone knows, though on-screen credit goes to Toby Hooper, an amazing director of great horror films, and a few not so great, a wealth of evidence suggests that a lot of decisions were made by Steven Spielberg. And there have been a lot of debate about it, but Spielberg seems to always kind of put it kind of go, no. Like, I guess he initially said, like, oh, well, Toby doesn't really take charge, and I'd step in if he didn't answer fast enough. And he was going over there a lot during the E.T. delays. And the only reason he didn't direct this movie is because he was on an obligation to not direct another movie until E.T. was done. And they were pretty much back to back. So, whenever that had delays, he was there. He was involved in... He was involved in storyboarding it, and the story, and the casting, and the choices, and the editing. I mean, he was...
Wow.
Double dipping.
And like you said,
Madman.
it feels like a Stephen King movie.
Yes.
Like I bet a lot Steven Spielberg. I bet a lot of people think that Steven Spielberg directed this movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
apparently some of the cast
Forever,
did too.
I did not know that this was a Toby Hoops Daddies movie.
Yeah, I mean
Oopsie daisies.
Oopsie daisies.
it was such an intense. So many people were going back and forth. The DGA, the Directors Guild of America, opened a probe into the matter and did a research, but found no reason to give co-director credit to Spielberg. But I tend to believe the only reason that didn't happen was because he didn't want it to. Because it would be an insult to...
Yeah, I think he was just like, there's no reason to fight about it. Like, let's just be buddies.
There's a couple quotes on this, though, because Hooper passed on August 27th, and... Director Mick Garris, who was a publicist on the film and visited the set on several occasions, came to his defense in the Postmortem podcast, saying Toby was always calling action and cut. Toby had been deeply involved in all the pre-production and everything, but Steven is the guy who will come in and call the shots. And so you're on your first studio film, hired by Steven Spielberg, who's enthusiastically involved in this movie. What are you going to say? Stop that, let me do this? Which Toby did. No, he didn't. Toby was a terrific filmmaker. I don't think Steven was controlling. I think Steven was enthusiastic, and nobody was there to protect Toby. All of the pre-production was done by Toby. Toby was there throughout. His vision is very much realized there. He got credit because he deserved credit, including Steven Spielberg said that. My only problem with this is it's like, yeah, I'm sure he was saying action and cut, and I'm sure he was handling all the stuff, but tonally speaking, like, it resembles not one movie he's ever.
Bull crackers.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mean to disrespect the guy, because the guy, obviously, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, come on, like, everybody, that's epic, legendary, but it was his. He needed somebody in the seat legally, and I think that Toby did what he wanted, and you got a great movie, but it's a Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Which is odd to say. I guess he's returning to horror. You guys hear about that? This probably could have been horror news, but he's doing a series that you can only watch online after a certain time in your time zone. It's only able to come on at night. It can't come on during the day.
Huh.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know a lot about it. I could look it up and say it, but I guess he's finally returning to horror after all this time to do something kind of fun. There's no question Spielberg is fantastic. I mean, I think over the years he's gotten a little soft.
Yeah.
As he's gotten older, he's definitely gotten a little more empathetic and a little less brutal. But he's never brutal. But, he's kind of lost his edge a little bit. But he's still phenomenally talented. I just, I'm not as excited about some of the movies he's done. Yeah. But I would like to see him try and cut loose. And in horror would be a good, fun place for...
Yeah, please.
Cut loose.
Especially with, like...
A foot loose.
How it's getting hot.
I mean, you could go there if you want. I mean, you did 7 degrees.
Kick off them Sunday shoes.
All right, here we are. So, I don't know. So, anyway, the big point is this movie's had a lot of controversies about it. Not just this, as you were kind of reading over earlier.
The what?
The curse.
Oh, the curse.
This movie is cursed.
It's so creepy.
That's crazy, right? Like, so tell them about it.
Well, I mean, everyone knows that the skeletons in the pool were actual.
They were real.
They were real.
the actress Joe Beth Williams. I forget Joe Beth. I don't remember. Joe Beth Williams. It was. She didn't know that they were all the bodies in the swimming pool were real.
It stunk.
Well, I mean, that's smart to not tell the actors that they're real until afterwards, right?
Well, I remember reading something, or maybe it was one of those documentaries where they were saying, like, are they supposed to smell like this? Because they didn't know they were real.
They did, yeah. They were in the water.
And they're like,
where did they get these?
That's because they're...
It was cheaper to get dead bodies than it was to make them.
What?
Yeah, it's still to this day.
Well,
In
I mean, I
fact,
guess because
at one time,
it's
Pirates
hard
of the
to...
Caribbean had a bunch of real bodies in it, and they have a couple left. In fact, the skull that's on the bed at Pirates of the Caribbean
That's
is a
still...
real human
Oh, baby.
skull. Yeah. But the curse. So 2 of the film's cast members were murdered.
Yeah.
Dominic Dunn, Dana Freeling, that's the older teenage daughter,
What?
was
Who-
strangled
who
by
else?
her former
Oh,
boyfriend
yes.
John Thomas Sweeney in the driveway of her West Hollywood home on October 30th, 1982. So
The
later this same year. Having been declared brain dead, she died 5 days later at the age of 22. And Lou Perryman, who played Pugsley, was killed with an axe by a 26-year-old man named Seth
axe?
Christopher Tatum in Austin, Texas on April 1st, 2009. And he was 67 years old at
What?
the time of his death.
What?
Yeah.
Why? What brought on
I
this?
don't know. Apparently,
Altercation.
there was some shit talking. I don't know. I'll try and look it up. Lou Perryman. Let me see if I can find. Talk amongst yourselves while I look up some more details of that.
Pause. Just for you to
Are
know
we
when you
gonna pause?
pause.
Pause.
We're still paused.
Pause.
We are on the pause.
Like dog paws?
Perryman was killed in his home in Austin, Texas on April 1st, 2009 by a 26-year-old man named Seth Christopher Tatum. Tatum, who had recently been released from prison for aggravated robbery, had gone off his medications and had been drinking. He later confessed that he killed Perryman with an axe. On June 26, 2009, Tatum was indicted on 2 counts of capital murder. He pleaded guilty on murder, was convicted February 1st, 2011, and was sentenced to life in prison. Perryman was known for being an American character actor. He acted in a number of small roles in television films such as Blues Brothers, Poltergeist, Boys Don't Cry, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Electric Boogaloo. He was a film crew member on the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Some shit.
Yeah.
Shit's
that's the
cursed.
story there.
Crackers are cursed.
And then young little Carol Ann
Little
Yeah.
Carol
died
Ann.
6 years after the film was released.
Yeah, she had a rough time of it.
Dry cracker blockage.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah.
Hers is sad. I remember hearing about that. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. She became ill with in 1987 and was later diagnosed as having Crohn's disease. She prescribed a steroid to treat the disease during the time she was filming Poltergeist 3.
Man, so
a terrible,
young.
terrible movie. January 31st, 1988, she began vomiting. And the next morning she collapsed, suffered a cardiac arrest en route to the hospital, and died later that day after surgery to repair an acute bowel obstruction caused by congenital stenosis of the intestine, complicated by septic shock. She was 12 years old, and she was entombed in the Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery.
Dry crackers.
The same cemetery that the teenage girl was buried in as well.
That's really crazy if you think about it.
Yeah,
'Cause,
right?
Like, they're both buried in Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Yeah, that's so sad. both the daughters
right?
are both gone. You know, and Craig T. Nelson is acting to this day.
Goddamn
just
coach.
fine.
Yeah, but-
Nothing affected him.
But really though,
Who's
how
that?
many other people from other movies die from the same movie? Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat here and be like, I don't know if it's a curse, because there's probably a lot of
I don't
people
know.
from a lot of movies that die.
Maybe that's
Yeah, I
why
think it
Drew
was just
Barrymore
a-
was not cast. Was not her time.
That's the craziest thing. Drew Barrymore as a little kid during... Okay, like, let's give a little props to Heather O'Rourke here. She was a really... It's playing in the background, just so you guys know. She's pretty iconic. I mean, like, you can't look at her and not think the 80s. Like,
Right.
this movie,
Yeah.
literally... I would have felt bad for her acting after this, because it was just so much identified as the
did.
Poltergeist girl.
Mm-hmm.
She did, but not
Yeah,
much.
No.
But
What was it, Poltergeist 3?
I think she would have had
Where
the
she
same
looked.
problem
Oh.
as what's her name from Exorcist,
Linda Blair.
Linda Blair. I think it would have had the same problem. So good in that initial
Wait,
movie.
you mean she would have ended up like sleeping with Bobby Brown or something?
I mean, Hollywood is a party place, man.
Rick James and Linda Blair. She
Yeah.
was getting down.
But I guess like you said, Drew Barrymore was considered for the role, but she wasn't angelic enough, which I don't know if anybody remembers.
Oh, she was.
That girl was a cherub.
Oh my goodness.
Like, she's
so
the cutest.
cute.
She's still so
I
cute.
I
fucking
just
love
think
Drew Barrymore.
because she was in E.T.,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they didn't want her going back to back. I think they were like, okay,
Child labor laws.
Okay, we're not gonna put her in this one, but we'll get her in the next one.
What was her
right?
auditioning for this role that got her the part of Gertie in E.T. And
all
that
right.
did make her a career. And there's somebody who was able to continually act over and over again and just completely top her last performances and is still known for her directing and acting. But the Barrymores have been like an acting family for
Ever.
generations now. Like, she comes from
Fucking
a
Hollywood.
long line of amazing actors. So I'm shocked that there's not a new Barrymore running around like acting again.
Oh, there will be. There probably
It's only a
is.
matter of time.
Like goddamn Bebe's kids.
Yeah, it's like baby kids. Yeah, man. I guess I don't know. I thought Heather O'Rourke did a really good job at the part, though. I mean, she was really iconic. But
The one thing,
they were gonna kill her. Do you know that? Oh, go on.
but watching as an adult, when the shit comes out of the TV, like into the house, and she's just
the dry crackers.
yeah, the dry crackers
dry
come out of the thing. I don't know what how old is she supposed to be in this? Like 4 or 5.
Something like that.
She's just chilling. Like it's no big thing. Like it's no big thing at all. She's like, huh?
I don't know. I've seen kids chill there like nothing when stuff goes down. They're
Yeah,
just like,
because
I
they're
don't
just
know what's
they're just like
happening right now.
because the world is just strange to them.
I
So
guess.
I kind of see where like something happens. They're like, oh, that was kind of weird,
Yeah, they're like,
But like
okay.
in their head, they make up so many weird things.
I don't know.
You had a conversation with a little kid where they start talking to you about how they're gonna...
But that would have scared
They
I
have
always had a
strange
4-year-old go
imagination.
like, I'm going to cut you into pieces and I'm going to toss you out of this car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're just,
that's yeah,
And
but
they
all that.
giggled.
But
And they
let's be
giggled.
serious. We all would have been scared shitless if that happened, and we were 4.
she was
100%. No,
Yeah.
she
She
wasn't.
was though.
I think she was
yeah,
terrified in-
No, she
in
was.
place.
Steven Spielberg had to hold her and be like, "We're not going to film
Oh,
that."
yeah,
scene."
yeah.
that's that
she
closet,
was.
That was the scene where the machine was shooting all the toys to the
Yeah.
closet behind her.
Yes,
And
that
of
scene.
all the scenes she did, that's the one that made her go to
Yeah.
pieces. Like, she lost it. It was just too... I think it was too loud and too
Yeah.
much, like, flying
Like-
by. She just...
Like when she wakes up from when they get her out of the portal, and her mom is holding her in the bathtub. She just wakes up and she's just like, "Oh, hi, Daddy."
Yeah.
You know.
Well, she was They chose her they chose her because she was eating lunch with her mother and sister at the MGM commissary, and producer Steven Spielberg came up to them and wanted her for the part of Carol Ann. Like, he saw her and like, that's the one. It was one of those moments. She initially failed the screen test because she kept laughing so much, but when she was supposed to be afraid. But he thought she was too young and to take the part seriously. But he still recognized something. So after auditioning a bunch more, he decided to ask her to come back one more time. And this time she brought a scary storybook with her and then asked her to scream. So she screamed and screamed, and then she started sobbing, and that got her the part.
Cute.
Yeah. But
Cute or terrifying, one or the other.
I guess now thinking about it, she was friends with them, the TV people, so she probably
was.
wasn't
Yeah, they were
as
talking
scared.
to her.
Yeah. But still, I'd have been like, "What the fuck? Dry crackers!" Like, holy dry crackers! What's going on?
Another one I want to point out. Actually, before I do that, I want to mention something about the character of Carol Ann that I thought was interesting when I was researching this a little bit. Carol Ann was originally supposed to die. She was supposed to die and haunt the house.
She
afterwards.
should have. I like this.
That
plot.
would have been so. They decided it was too dark, and that we was going to go against them trying to get that PG rating.
Mm-hmm.
So they opted to have her kidnapped by the ghost, which created the famous scene. They ended up removing a lot of dark elements from the film, so like I said, specifically could run as a double feature with E.T. when they were coming out so close. But it's pretty impressive how much they were able to do with it. But another little short, tiny, cute girl in this movie I'd like to point out is the woman Zelda Rubinstein that I thought was... She's another one from this movie that's really iconic.
There's a lot of iconic things in general
Yeah.
in this movie, like Carol Ann in front of the TV,
Mm-hmm.
like the static, like is burned into my brain. Just TV stat. This made TV static scary as fuck.
It's true, it did. It made
You're like,
that
oh
late
my
night where
God.
it's like, shh,
Where
that-
it goes off and you're in the dark, you're like, oh my god.
I mean, was it this that killed TV static for everyone? Because I just think it's just a scary thing.
Did for me because I totally
I don't know
connected
if there
this.
were movies that used it. I'm sure must have been a movie that used that sound in a scene.
I
But
hate it. I hate it.
It was
TV
something.
static is the scariest thing ever.
It was
And
something.
There is nothing scarier than
And
TV
then
static.
and then to hear stuff coming out of it,
Ugh. No.
like shit like
Yeah.
that, you're
Yeah.
like, ugh.
And that you know the hair they're here, and even like Zelda's part in this movie where she comes in and she just starts reading it, and like I even love the exchange. I love that exchange when she's like, "I'm going in." No, I gotta go in. The mother's like, she's arguing right there. She's
Right.
like, "You've never done this before." It's like, "Neither have you." Okay, you're
you-
going. It's just like, all
And the
right.
sweet 70s, 80s glasses, big ass.
Yeah,
Yes.
the super glasses
Yes.
staring into the tunnel, into the other. You know, I said this before. That scene too. I love how this movie handles the other side, and the remake that they did a couple years ago, which is terrible, with a really great actor in it.
I didn't watch it.
Don't bother.
Okay.
But they show the other side, and it's beautiful looking, and it's crazy what they do, and I really enjoyed
Oh, that's
that.
really cool.
But and it's one of the better parts of the movie, but I think it makes this movie that when the mother goes in, you don't get to see her out there. You don't get to experience what she sees, and they never talk about it. Like, she's a little fucked up from it, and like tries not to, like, they make it clear it's like, we're not gonna talk about what you saw over there, and nobody wants to know.
Yeah.
But I imagine, you know, it was some crazy upside down shit.
Yeah.
You know, it must have been pretty.
Spooky.
It had to be. Her hair's gray in the end. Like,
Yeah.
it's grayer afterwards.
Which is
She gets-
really hot.
Little gray streak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, in this, it turns gray when the monster comes out at her, doesn't it? She's screaming and it goes.
Oh yeah. I think it might be that scene. They do.
I love when that happens. Like I hate
like
that Ash.
Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
This is we're watching the scene where they're watching everything spin. The paranormal investigators are looking at like the room just spinning and going crazy, and it's just so great that it's like opening the door and showing them like, so this has been happening. It's a problem.
The Evil Dead 2, the nod to Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
the
Well, this
floating
whole
around shit,
thing,
yeah.
it's a scene. Yeah.
Was that a nod to Poltergeist, you think?
I would completely assume that it was.
Which year did that movie come out?
What, Evil Dead 2?
Evil Dead 2.
I don't know.
Probably probably like a year or two after. I know that Army of Darkness was 92 or 3.
93, I
Evil
believe.
Dead 2 came out in 1987.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That could be a nod to
Yeah.
Poltergeist.
No one,
that
both
was-
Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, I'm sure it was. But
Yeah.
there's a lot. Dude, even the fucking tree. Can we talk about the tree? The scary ass tree.
The scariest tree is the scariest. This is a hell of a ghost story.
And the rapey clown.
That fucking clown was super scary to
Super
me.
rapey.
And super
I
rapey.
almost choked that actor to death.
Really?
Yeah, they thought he was ad-libbing because he was like, I can't breathe, and then like, this is great, keep going, and then he like turned purple. And they're
That's scary.
holy
We
shit.
need safe words.
Dry crackers.
Yeah, try crackers, try crackers.
If you look at the tree,
Oliver Robbins.
when in the beginning of the movie, it totally looks like the pose of it, or not it, of The Thing.
Oh my god, this is
The
kid from
remake?
sequel, Airplane 2.
Or not the remake, but you know the Kurt Russell one,
Yes.
where when it comes out at the end and it turns its head and it's totally shaped. That tree is totally shaped like it, or the Thing. I noticed it. I was like, wow. But there's a lot of iconic shit in this movie.
There's just so many like references that like scenes and moments that just stuck with you. The one scene that always stuck with me, even when I was a kid, and then I always thought I didn't know what I was like. It was kind of weird about it, but then as an adult, it's kind of fucked up. It's the scene where the teenage daughter is coming up on her bike or trying to leave for school, and the construction workers are all like,
Hey.
catcalling her,
Yeah.
and she's just like, I forget what she says, but she flips them off. She's like, fuck you, you know, and like, she's like, oh, let me turn it up, or whatever. She says some snappy, and then takes off, and then it pans over to the mother watching from the window and
And
just
she's
going,
just like, hell yeah.
oh, that's my girl. And it's like, you would, I don't know, if I had like if I had my 15, 16-year-old daughter walking out there and a bunch of dudes were
Who
all
are
over
working
her,
for me?
yeah, I would lose my shit. Like,
yeah.
I would lose it.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because they seem pretty close with the family. Like,
Right.
and he's reaching in and drinking her coffee and stuff like that. The workers.
Yeah, well, because isn't the father? That's what he does.
Yeah.
He works with.
Yeah, so they all
construction.
seem like weird, but it's the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You moved the tombstones, but you left the bodies.
Dude,
So good.
another great scene which we discussed in the 80s episode. The meat face where he's pulling his thing off.
I had forgotten about that.
And then the
scene
steak.
again. Yeah.
So that's the
yeah,
best scene.
So good.
That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, that's
So good.
That's pretty crazy.
That leads to him pulling his face apart.
Yep.
Oh,
Eating the
awesome.
chicken. No.
Oh yeah,
You know,
eating the
these-
chicken. In
yeah,
the, oh
mag-
yeah.
Yep. Ugh.
Is that a node to the Lost Boys, or was it the Lost
Well,
Boys
Yeah, the little Lost
Tippin'
Boys
had
is
to-
way after
way
this.
after?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. There is a funny thing in it. Did you ever notice the weird jump cut at about 34 minutes in when they're walking and talking about the feeling of being dragged across the room?
Yeah.
All of a sudden they like mid-sentence they're outside on the porch talking about it. And I guess there's this weird jump cut because one of the characters says how much they hate Pizza Hut as they're walking by. Pizza Hut comes in the conversation. They walk by Pizza, and he just says, "Oh, I hate Pizza Hut." And Pizza Hut got offended and pissed, so they cut that, and there was no way.
Well, why
to do
would
the
you
line.
say that? I'm offended because I love
Pizza
Pizza
Hut's
Hut.
That you love the Pizza Hut?
I love
That's
Pizza
your
Hut.
jam?
Yeah. I don't
Well,
care. Sue me.
It is good, and
But that's a weird thing that's in the movie. There's a weird jump cut.
dude, in the 80s, you can't disrespect Pizza Hut like that. Pizza Hut and Pepsi? Ugh.
Yeah, that sounds like the total 80s meal right there.
Yeah, you can't fuck with that.
I gotta say this, musician to musician, E, what do you think of the soundtrack of this movie?
Very Ghostbusters-y.
Yeah, it is very...
Very
timeline.
Steven Spielberg-y.
Yeah.
Fantastic, I would say.
The Ghostbusters thing is a good... I hadn't thought of that, but you're
Yeah.
right. It's very Ghostbusters, like...
It's
feeling.
it's fun fantasy music, I feel like.
Jerry Goldsmith wrote the theme song, and he also wrote the theme song to The Omen from 1976. But The Omen got a ton of praise from critics for being dark and forbidding and effective while setting a menacing demonic tone. But the Poltergeist theme, he got a lot of criticism for being way too Disneyland.
It
and
was
Leave
very
to Beaver.
Disney-like.
Yeah, but so was Ghostbusters.
Yeah. But I mean,
I always think about
That's-
those jazzies like
for me, it's part of the
like they have these little
charm of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it all to me, if it was anything other than the music that's playing, the score, it wouldn't be the same movie to me. I don't think.
Do you think that Stranger Things, Upside Down, and the way they interact is based on might
Oh,
have been a nod
totally.
to
I
this?
think that Stranger Things is completely
like
inspired
pulling
by Poltergeist.
I mean, it's right in the tone for
Yes.
for everything else, but like in the scenes where they're trying to communicate with Carol Ann and she runs by them, they feel her running by, and they can smell her in their clothes and stuff as she runs by. That gives me the impression that the other side was kind of a upside down.
Yes.
It's because the 80s did everything better than anything that's now.
But why?
The mom even reminds me of Winona Ryder,
Yeah.
Yeah?
A little less crazy.
Oh, I love Winona Ryder though. I'm rooting for her. I know she
Me
gets
too.
drunk at events.
She was my favorite.
She's still
I
my
loved
favorite.
her.
Like I love Winona Ryder, and I sometimes you gotta get drunk and look confused at an award ceremony. Fuck it.
Yeah, you know
Who
right?
cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? She's looking
cares?
around, being all weird, freaky. I've done that. I got drunk and done that. I don't usually do it on like an award situation, but like she goes to a lot more of those than I do. So maybe she just got a little plastered.
She's crazy. Sometimes you just gotta.
So I got a
steal
story
some-
from you that I pulled out for this.
Oh yes,
And
yes,
it's for
please.
Shotzi.
Give me.
Because you wondered if this was inspired by a true story.
Oh yes. What is
So
it?
here's what I found. The inspiration for this movie, Poltergeist, comes from an actual occurrence in Denver, Colorado. In the late 1800s, when Denver was expanding as a city, there was a graveyard where the city government wanted to put in a grand city park like the one that New York City had. And every city since then were trying to emulate that whole Central Park vibe. Well, the city put out notices for bids to relocate the cemetery and decided to go with the lowest bidder. And about a third of the way into the project, the contractor realized that he had seriously underbid the job, and long story short, started moving just the headstones. He completed the job, and the city started building the slated structure. And we're actually getting close to finishing when one of the contractor's employees spilled the beans. The contractor was arrested, but the damage was done. The city, not being able to afford to tear down the building and re-dig up the cemetery, left it as it was and just finished the project, leaving the unmarked graves as they were. And you can still visit the park today and the graves. The park is named Cheeseman Park, and the graves sit under the Greek Pavilion in the east end of the park and extend south onto 8th Avenue. And there they sit to this day under the ground.
In Denver, Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm wrestling there in a few weeks. Maybe I'll have to...
Take some pictures and send them. We'll put them up on Monster
Definitely,
Candy
I will.
Podcast
I will.
Instagram. So that's the inspiration for the ghost story of what it would be like to build homes over the bodies and what those bodies would do.
Goddamn burial grounds.
You just moved the headstones, but you left the bodies.
All right. I have one other problem with this movie.
Oh, we got problems. Let's talk about
I got a
problems.
fucking problem. So in the beginning,
Got some dry crackers.
when all this dry cracker stuff is starting to happen, like in the very, very beginning, with all the little weird stuff. So the bird dies, their family bird. And the mom was going to try and flush that down the toilet. A bird.
She has a lot of confidence in 1980s plumbing.
Apparently. I was like, really? You're going to flush a fucking bird down a toilet and expect it to just go down? I mean, we flushed a lot of crackers down the toilet in the 80s. But a bird?
I mean...
That's a lot.
I mean, my dry crackers are bigger than a bird sometimes.
Yeah, but probably not as dense.
Yeah, not as dense.
Probably
like,
not as...
A bird cannot break apart like a dry cracker can.
Your dry crackers probably don't have any bones in them.
I wouldn't do that at all.
And feathers.
No.
There's no way the water would do that. But I don't know. Maybe in the 80s, like maybe maybe they had that airplane like suction going on.
No,
like
they
the-
didn't.
No,
just
no
this.
way.
No, because she
building,
flushes the toilet first and then was going to drop it. And that suck was not enough to pull down a bird.
No, that I
So.
agree. That's
Yeah, I was like...
Fishies? Sure.
Totally.
for sure. But
And I was like, really? Like... But, maybe it was just, a dumb thing. Like, and then the husband would come home, honey, what'd you do? Oh, I flushed the bird down the toilet. What? Like that kind of sitcom thing. Like, to
Right.
the moon. But, yeah, so that's my other problem with this goddamn movie.
that was probably the most softball criticism I've ever heard you actually give a movie in the entire time we've done this podcast.
Hey, it was...
Like that was the night. This is the nicest you've been to a movie. They did a good job. They did a good job.
For scaring a child, this is a good movie.
It was a big hit. I mean, it cost $10 million to make. It did 6.8 million in the first weekend of wide release, and ended up grossing $76 million, over $76 million in the U.S. and the worldwide gross was $123.1 million.
Toby Hoop Daddy's highest grossing film.
There you go. Look at that.
That is a shock to no one, and that is not an insult to the Mr. Hooper. It's though I guess Zelda didn't like him because it was obvious that he was on drugs.
Yeah.
So apparently he had a drug problem, and it was obvious.
No. You don't
In the
say.
80s?
Lots of...
Looking at what other movies he
Like,
did.
who wasn't on coke and drugs in the 80s? I mean, come on, Zelda. Party a little bit.
I wasn't on drugs in the 80s.
Me either.
No.
I was...
I was a little young, I suppose, but...
Shotzi definitely wasn't in the 80s. She wasn't on much of anything in the 80s.
I
at all.
Yeah. I wasn't even a dry cracker in my
Oh
daddy's
man,
dry cracker
Drawer.
he did
In his dry
Salem's
cracker
Lot.
drawer.
He did the TV Salem's Lot, which is terrible. That is so bad. And he did that a while after he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But he did like one of my favorite movies. Wait.
Poltergeist?
Sleepwalkers?
Did he do Sleepwalkers?
Didn't he?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
I don't see it. No, I don't think he did. He did do Billy Idol Dancing with Myself video short. No, I mean, he did.
That video is probably one of my favorite videos, by the way, because it's got zombies and stuff. So.
I don't know if he directed the video. He did the video short, or is that what they call music videos?
Oh, I don't know, but that video is my crackers. It's my
Oh, it
dry
is the
crackers.
music video. He directed the music video Dancing with Myself.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Oh.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if, at least the Hooper movies I've seen, you know, with all due respect to him, he's been pretty hit or miss as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, man, you know, it's fine. Oh, he did The Mangler in '95? That's funny, I remember that movie. See, like, that one I liked, but I did not like the other. I didn't like, with Robert Englund in it, Stephen King story turned into that. I'm pretty sure that was where it was from. The Mangler, I'm almost positive that it came from Stephen King's mind.
The Mangler.
But I just didn't, you know, he's real hit or miss. And that movie is not a great movie, but it's like, it's fun.
But then you look at all that other shit, crackers, and then look at this, and how can you not be
based
like
on the Stephen King story, The Mangler, which is
be like, oh yeah, this is a Steven Spielberg movie. You know what I mean?
yeah, this one is
Like, I mean,
there's no question to me. This is classic Steven Spielberg.
yeah.
That one must be tough. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. If he'd have done a bunch of others like this and he just happened to have that kind of feel, then I'd go for it. But
I'd buy it, but yeah, but not. I mean, you know, I guess a broken clock's right twice a day.
so,
But
it's that time, guys. What are we gonna give this one? I mean, is it perfect? Like, is there anything that they missed that they could have done better?
that fucking bird.
I am not taking a
fuck?
cute, creepy little zombie candy corn
I'm-
off for trying to flush, for not actually flushing a bird down the toilet.
But just the thought of that, come on, man. You can't flush a fucking bird. It's like flushing a puppy.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. But she didn't end up doing it.
Some people flush their puppies.
I'm gonna give it, honestly, I just don't see. I'm sitting here trying to give myself a reason not to give it a 5.
Right? Yeah, I'm trying to think
Because-
too. But I don't think it's a 5 though. I mean, like,
want to say it's a 5, but
it's a
I
great,
think it
it's a
might be,
great,
though.
it's a great movie. I didn't think it was like.
Is it the greatest
amazing.
ghost story movie
No.
out there? What would be
No.
then? But if not this, what else? I mean, I love The Innkeepers, but I wouldn't say The Innkeepers tops
Maybe there
Poltergeist.
Maybe there isn't one.
Exorcist is a demonic. It's not really a ghost haunting. I don't know if I would say what's that? What's the haunt?
This is the best scene right here.
Amityville Horror.
The meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah, the chicken. Maggot chicken.
Maggot chicken. It's my favorite kind
Amityville
of chicken.
Horror, I think, is not going
you're
to
a
top this
savage.
either.
Oh no, I actually didn't. I'm not a huge fan of Amityville Horror because it drags.
It does drag.
It drags.
We
so
need to
much.
talk about that next time. That
How
should
much
be
it
one on
drags?
the list. Well, I want to talk
No,
about
because
that
then I have
movie
to rewatch it, and it's gonna take me forever.
Well, this one, I'm looking for a reason not to give it a 5 because I keep thinking it can't
I know,
be a
this-
5, but
see-
I guess it is.
See, we're on the scene where he's pulling his face off right now, and now I can't not give it a 5 because look at this pure gold right here. Look at that. That these
Just the
special effects right here.
The meat chunks.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, he's just ripping it. Oh my goodness. Oh, gold.
I think this is a 5. I don't think
You know that
there's...
scene in the Halloween Horror Nights That one where he's like staring into the mirror, and then he
Yeah.
turns and looks at you, and his face is all mangled.
Yeah.
Oh, best walkthrough at Halloween Horror Nights
Yeah.
by far.
We were both Shotzi and I went to Halloween Horror Nights last year, and the Poltergeist haunted house we both agreed was one of the best ones.
Yes.
It really was. They did a really great job.
Best one.
We were in Florida for that, or the Orlando. That's where it was. I don't know if they did one on the one out here. I don't know if they
Yeah, I
had
don't
the
know if
same
they
thing.
did.
I don't know if they're the same.
Yeah, I don't know if they all have the same
But
houses.
the Florida
but
one was epic.
Yes.
But
Very
yeah,
good.
man, I'm gonna give it 5. I'm giving it 5 just because I think it's a legend. I think a lot of movies dedicated itself. I think it was creative in the fact that they managed to make a story that scared the crap out of me personally as a kid, and stay with me all this time while not killing anybody and not being a gory movie aside from the dude tearing his face. I think he did. I think it was a great example of Stephen Spielberg's influence at the time.
One
Of
of
how
them
great of a
Stevens.
filmmaker he was, is that he completely
And
made
Steven.
another director style like his. He was able to turn a movie into his kind of movie even when he was working on another legendary movie at the same time. That's pretty awesome.
See, that's the
I
power
mean,
of cocaine.
what didn't I like? What didn't I?
I don't know what I didn't like. That's why I'm trying to sit there.
Dang,
And
name
am
it.
I comparing every horror
Zero
movie to
dry
this, or Ghost?
crackers. 0 dry crackers.
Well, I'm trying to think of what other great ghost stories.
I mean, this might be the best ghost movie. Haunting.
I mean, there's some great ones out there, but I'm trying
Yeah,
to
name
think of one.
name
that
another. Name another.
That tops
haunting.
this.
This is probably the
That-
best well-rounded one. Meaning,
Yes.
like,
It's just well put
kids
together.
can get into it, adults can get
I
into
mean, I don't
it. Like,
care about that. I don't care.
no,
about...
but I'm saying, as a
You
viewing,
can be well rounded and not be for kids.
as a viewing
Pleasure.
it's a good story for
Yes.
everyone to be that can.
It's easy to digest.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna throw out some haunting movies. I just looked up
You
a bunch
son
of
of a
haunted house
bitch.
movies. The Conjuring's listed from 2013.
Which is great.
Mm.
A Haunted House by the Wayans brothers in 2013. Paranormal Activity. The Haunting from 1963. Insidious 2010. The Innocents 1961. Poltergeist is this one. The Changeling 1980. Sixth Sense 1999, which was a great ghost story.
Like, all pretty good, but
Amityville
better than-
Horror. Oculus, also good.
Like I
Yeah.
said, this
None of
one, this
these.
one
House
kind
on the
of
Haunted Hill.
hits all the points.
A woman
Firing on all
House-
cylinders.
The Woman in Black, A Haunting in Connecticut, all great.
Man,
I think this might be
this
the
might be
best.
like number one, at least for us, apparently.
Until now. I mean, I like all of the ones I named. I like
Candy
Amityville.
Killers, what do you think? Is Poltergeist the number one scary haunted house movie
of all time.
of all time?
Before this, I would have said maybe House on the
House on Haunted Hill?
yeah, House on Haunted Hill. I don't know as I tried to add the word.
I mean, that one's a good one, too, for, like, a classic. But...
I don't know of another one here that's topping it. Woman in Black I really liked 2012. That was fun. I love The Innkeepers. I bring that one up all the time. It's a great ghost movie. The Shining is a great ghost
Oh, yeah.
story.
The Shining. Oh, no. I don't know, man. That might top it. But you know what, though? I love The Shining. I have a love-hate relationship with The Shining because sometimes it drags a little. It puts me to sleep sometimes.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
I'm never falling asleep to Poltergeist.
No, you can't.
I don't know if it's a better
It's like a
movie
remote. It's like a
than
remote
Shining.
song, you know. It's just like short and sweet.
I
to
would
the
say
point.
it's you're looking at a title of the best ghost story between The Shining and this, really, when it comes down to it. Though I'd like to hear people argue with me. Maybe
I mean,
we're leaving
people
something.
stab us in the face.
Let's not stab in the face. Let's stab us in the face with words.
People will feed us dry crackers
I want
for
to hear.
saying that this is better than The Shining.
dry crackers.
Okay, but here's the thing I'll say to that: Shining scared some people, but this being a PG rating got to so many more people than
That's
it would
true.
have.
That's what
And
I'm
scared
saying, man.
everyone,
That's
which is
true.
one of the arguments I use for
Because I
me
watched this
saying-
as a kid, and ooh,
Yeah, I say that Jaws is one of the scariest movies of all time, again and again, because of how many people it scared.
Because
nobody topped
right.
it. But this one also got to a ton of people by the same guy.
Yeah.
So
because some people, you look at The Shining, you see some of the scenes, and some people aren't even gonna touch it because it just looks there's too much going on.
And I mean, The Shining, man, it's good. It's real good.
I mean, The Shining, visually,
yeah,
a lot better. Visually, right?
Visually, a lot better.
Cinematography,
way better.
Way better.
Some of those scenes, like
right?
just the impact of the blood pouring down the hallway, or the twins.
Right. I connect
Jack
with
Nicholson.
the Poltergeist more. I think because it scared me so much as a child. Because I didn't watch The Shining until later on.
I think you just stumbled onto something
right?
that are really interesting.
Maybe it's just nostalgic.
Well, not even nostalgia. It's some horror movies we watch, especially as horror fans, and we just watch it unfold. Mm-hmm. But the ones that have had the deepest, largest reach is the ones that tap into the very concept that we all can understand. Exorcist, something coming in and taking us over. Well, even if you're innocent. Or Jaws, swimming with your feet dangling in the deep water and what's underneath you. And Poltergeist, you move into a house, you don't know what the fuck happened there. You don't know what happened, so everything this really unfolds on them really well.
Here's the thing about this, like The Shining is just scary. Like there's stuff that's just scary.
Yeah, but you don't see yourself in The Shining.
Right.
Like, you're not unless you're running a hotel during the winter.
Like there's stuff that's just scary, whereas this is like
relatable.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, everything's like cool. Oh, well, you're my friend. Oh, kind of like The Exorcist. Like, oh, Captain Howdy. Oh, yeah, he's my buddy. You know, everything's cool. We're having fun with this fucking ghost. And then the crackers hit the fan, and then you know what I mean. You could be, and it touches on like fears.
I think that's
that people have, like,
right, specific fears.
There's something under my bed.
Right.
Oh, that weird thing in the corner. My stuffed animal or whatever, the fucking clown in the thing. Like. The tree outside. Fuck, like everyone grows up thinking that shit.
But everyone has those things where not everybody's going to go. Like, you can watch The Shining and go, I'm not going to go take care of that fucking hotel. That's not going to happen. And then when you see, like, two kids, like, going, play with us, they're like, fuck it, I'm out. That's one thing. But when you're, like, watching how it slowly but steadily unfolds on them.
Bear giving a dude head.
Well, it's how it, like, the static of the TV, waking up and seeing your kid touching it. Like, people could grasp these were things in their house. This is a fear they've had, like swimming in the ocean. With
it was way more realistic.
You could unfold it. I think the greatest ones are the ones that tap into that. It's the difference between a horror movie we all enjoy and a horror movie that scares us as children and gets to us and stays with us forever. Like even why Halloween mattered. And kind of Friday the 13th, the idea of just a killer wearing a mask who comes and stabs the shit out of you and you can't control it. That taps into... I think there's a level we're seeing the difference between great horror movies that we can all enjoy and admire and even get creeped out by, and horror movies that grab all of us because it could happen to any of us. And I think that might be the difference between what happened in the 80s that we aren't seeing as much before or since is they're not doing a stage play. They're trying to go, this could be you tonight.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really fundamental... I don't think I'm stumbling on any like realization here, but I think that might be the difference between the legends and just the greats.
Well, shit now is too obvious and too like obnoxiously in your face. Like it's all, oh my god, it's super scary.
Not a lot of subtlety nowadays.
Not at all.
I mean, not that I'm not entertained by some of the
little things. It's the little things that get you, and you're like, oh man, like a fucking clown. The little clown thing, pulling him under the bed. What little kid isn't scared that has like a bed with nothing under it?
Yeah, and that's what I think that was a little bit of the difference between Get Out and Us. Was that subtlety? Get Out had a subtle, continued creepy. Not that you put your. I think even that tapped into certain people. You know, who were like, I've been around creepy people. I've been around creepy white people. You know, it's like that, like they kind of grabbed them. Whereas us, you were like, oh shit, what's this? And it's a really entertaining film. But as we said, like, Get Out was the stronger of the two. I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of tripping on that thought. Like maybe that is the simple fact that separates the legends. the movies of the 80s and stuff that we all love is because there was a
little
certain amount of
details.
time that they tried to convince everybody this could happen to you. And that simple feeling, being PG, it reached everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we're on it. So you give it 5?
I have
Cute
to.
little,
I have
creepy
to.
little zombie candy corns.
I would probably give Shining 5, but I think this might be the top ghost movie. The haunting movie, I should say, a haunting.
Ms. Blackheart.
I'm doing 4.5.
4.5.
I think you're just trying to be contrary. You're trying to resist.
I mean, I just like it's like it's there and it's awesome, but I don't know. There's just like something in me that's telling me that I need to get half of that candy corn away from it.
Little bite that little nugget's head
yeah,
off.
I do. I gotta.
What do you think,
bite
E?
off.
4 because of the fucking bird. It bugged the shit out of me.
Oh my goodness!
Are you
That's
serious?
the only
I'm
reason that I'm
100%.
saying that you're saying it's 5.
When I was rewatching it,
Killing
and
me,
it's
man.
it's the
You're
first
killing
it's
me.
the first time I ever like really noticed, and now I can't get it out of my head. So 4.
This is another one of those episodes that I really hope leads to a discussion about it, because I
Yeah.
really want to see people comment on it and talk to us, because this one, I want people to go like, top us.
Top
I'm
that.
kinda hungry.
Stop
Top us.
that.
No, top this
Stop
movie.
that. Stop that.
Let me hear a better haunted house movie than
Oh,
this.
please
Name
do
it,
not,
bitches.
please do not come at me with your obscure haunting movies.
You can tell them to me. I would like to go see some to see if it's going to top it to me, and like.
It
but
will.
I don't
Doubt
think.
it.
It'll be a
But
dry cracker
if you're going to
sandwich.
bring up a movie that you think is had more of an impact than this, I would already know about it right now, unless I'm completely
right,
forgetting
like-
something.
Yeah.
So
You
you won't, and I don't think it's just because it's Steven Spielberg. I mean, it just reached everybody. Anyway.
Nailed it.
All right.
Nailed
that's
it.
then. I guess that's it for this episode. We did it. Another one in the can.
Yep.
All right.
The dry cracker can.
The dry cracker can.
Yep.
We hope you've enjoyed this show of us trying to be a little bit more PG, so you'll welcome us into your homes and into your hearts and
Under
into
your
your dry
beds.
cracker toilets.
Suck on a dry cracker.
Yeah.
There we go. And we're done. See you next time, everybody. You've been listening to Monster Candy Podcast. Want to find out more about the show? Find us on the web at monstercandypodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching Monster Candy Podcast. And you can find our Twitter at MonsterCNDYPC. Hey, we couldn't fit the whole name. What do you want from us? Let us know what you think of the show, and if we're right or if we're wrong, or what you want us to tackle next. We want to hear from you. Well, Shotzi and I do, but I can promise that E doesn't really care. To find out more about Shotzi Blackheart and her professional wrestling, follow her Twitter at Shotzi Black or her Instagram at Shotzi Blackheart. You can follow Screamin E's band, the Memphis Murder Men, on Facebook at TMMM official page or his Instagram at Screamin E. That's screaming with no G, add the E. For me, Dominic Davy, you can find my artwork at dominicdavy.com, my band Tsunami Bomb at tsunamibomb.net, and you can hear my other podcast, 3 Gigs, at 3gigspodcast.com, or on the same platform you're hearing this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Monster Candy Podcast.